Outside of this one church town, there's a gold dirt road to a whole lot of nothing. Got a deed to the land, but it ain't my ground. This is God's country. We pray for rain and thank Him when it's falling, 'cause it brings a grain and a little bit of money. We put it back in a plate, I guess that's why they call it God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind, that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. We turn the dirt and work until the week's done. We take a break and break bread on Sunday, then do it all again, 'cause we're proud to be from God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind, that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. God's country. I don't care what my headstone reads or what kind of pine wood box I end up in. When it's my time, lay me 6 feet deep in God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind, that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. Yeah, I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind, that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country.
Guys, I don't know about you guys, man, but every time I hear that song, you know what? I could be on the bench press. I could have heavy weight on, and when I hear this song, it's that adrenaline rush that comes in. You know what I mean? God's country. Man, what a beautiful song, man.
It's a great song.
It is beautiful. Hey, guys, listen, let me welcome everybody that's on board. And Brad, we are so excited. Sean's going to do the formal introduction, but we're excited. What we usually do, we welcome everybody, then we talk about our drink, and then it's all your show, brother. But before we get started, we got Aaron Benzine, who's literally been on for the past 2 hours waiting for tonight's episode. And first time here, thank you, brother, for watching us. He's literally been on for 2 hours waiting for us. We got Dan Luke, Amin, thank you, brother. We got Jessica, let me bring her up, Jessica Stowell. This is the first time we ever see you, Jessica. Thank you. All hello from Wisconsin. Thank you, sister. We got Shannon Cooper watching us. We've never seen you before, but thank you for watching us. Subscribe to our channel. Hit like. Shannon Cooper, hello from Jacksonville, Florida. You're close to me. I'm in Tampa. We got Tim DeJanis, the California Department of Corrections, Pelican Bay legend, watching us once again, all the way from Thailand. We got Chris Kilby. Let me bring him up. 1097. I don't know if you know him, Brad, or not. Chris Kilby is a legend with San Diego PD. He was a gang detective, a robbery detective. Anybody from our generation that work for San Diego PD. You mentioned Chris Kilby. They will definitely know as our legend. Co-select, I'm going to kill your name, brother. We'll call you Gregory. Hello from Wisconsin. Thank you, brother. And watching us all the way from the Philippines, we got Cocaine Cowboys Uncensored. You're always with us, brother. Chris, thank you very much. We have our sister, Ceci. Let me bring you up. Ceci Escano has been with us from the very beginning. Watching us from Riverside, California. You're probably drinking water with lemon tonight. Enjoy. And we have, let me go real quick, Donna Shelton. Donna from Virginia, Virginia. Bram, she's giving you a big hello. We got, Dulce Against the Grain. Saludos. Prayers for you, brother. I believe you were in the hospital yesterday. Prayers for you. Benny Cruz. Hugo Carnanes, our one and only producer of the show and the guy who put the grant. Miles Barnett watching Benny, Bonnie, Miles, and Tegan. And hello from Point Loma. And I'm going to go real quick. This will be the last one, guys. 1967 kid. Respeto. He's watching us from Puerto Rico. De corazón, bendiciones. And I have to do one more. Ron, let's go, Bram. And guys, I'm going to stop here because you know what? They're coming on and we're going to last forever doing this. Yeah. But guys, let's get started. Let's talk about what we're drinking. And I think, Bobby, you should be in your house, so you should be smoking a cigar. With that said, Big Sean, we'll start off with you. We'll go around the circle.
Oh, I'm starting off Buffalo Trace. Going back to Buffalo Trace. So, and no cigar because I'm inside tonight. Okay,
Bram, I know you have something special for us, and hopefully it's not ready and loaded. Tell us what you have.
It's I got some Pursuit from Pursuit Distilling. It's a 100 proof of awesomeness. This is the bottle it normally comes in, right? It's so expensive I could barely afford to pay attention, but this stuff was awesome. But I have it loaded in my my M4. So you got to be careful because this thing, when it goes off, man, awesomeness comes out of the end. But drinking it out of of course a Ben shot glass. So if you ever see a Ben shot, you know an M4, it's around, it's good out to 500 meters. So they put this glass at 501. And then they shoot it. It doesn't quite go through that because it's past the range of effective fire. So it just lodges in it. So it's a really good shooter they have there. And they do a great job of shooting and making this glass. And then I did a great job of putting it in the glass.
So tell us, how does it taste? Is it how is it? Is it sweet? Is it strong? Is it sweet?
It's not sweet because it's I don't think bourbon is sweet. I mean, it's like you could definitely start an aircraft with this, but it's delicious. That I know because I'm not very cultured and in the ways of the world when it comes down to describing wines and all that kind of stuff. Yes. But it's delicious. And meant for consumptions in small amounts, kids.
Hey, with that said, Bobby, what are you drinking and what are you smoking tonight, brother?
I'm smoking the 601 Habano from Espinosa Cigars.
Great cigar. Yeah.
The 601. Love this one. It's to me, it has a kind of a Cuban-esque, real earthy taste. And I'm drinking some small batch Kentucky bourbon. I've had it before, Mills and Mash.
Yeah, that's good.
And I got it right here. I like this one. So that's what
you have it on ice, right?
What was that?
You have it on ice?
Yeah, a little bit of ice. It's hot here. It's been 110 here, man. As they say, hasta el diablo se de vacaciones. It's hot here. The devil goes on vacation here. It gets too hot here.
And the guy that always brings the $200 bottles, man. The guy that is definitely our expert when it comes to drinks. Big Doug, what are you drinking? Surprise us and tell us how great is it or how bad is it?
So I made it back to Escondido, where I have my Scotch collection, and this is one of my favorites. It's Balmore. 12-year. It's in Islay Scotch, and it's very, very smoky, very peaty. So it's not for the faint of heart. But as you explore the Scotch world, you'll develop a taste for peaty and smoky, and this is probably one of the best. And of course, I'm drinking it neat because I want all the heat. It's very nice in the wintertime, by the way, although it's like 90 something here right now, but
Yeah.
it's very nice in the winter. But this is a great Scotch, guys. Great Scotch.
Bram, 1967 kid, BR says, my man is drinking fire. And guys, you know what? I'm smoking a Crema Particular, a great cigar that goes great with this Scotch, the Balvenie. I bought it at Costco, like I always say. I bought it at Costco. I got a great deal, and it's delicious. But guys, before I hand it over to Sean, I want to do a special toast to this great man. Let me go ahead and put him up real quick. Let me see if I can do that. Here he is, coming up. Give me a second. Last year, Alex de Armas, all of us from San Diego PD got a chance, had the opportunity, had the honor of working with this man. And he passed away suddenly last year. And this man, like I said, he's a former Marine, just a great, great man who loved God and just a man of honor. And today, guys, I know it's been a year, but his picture came up earlier. And as I was looking at him, I was, just thanking the Lord for giving me the opportunity, giving us all the opportunity to know this great man. With that said, a toast to a man of honor, a man of God, and a great man. Salud.
Shalom.
Rest in paradise, my brother, Alex de Armas.
Very nice.
Big Sean, let me go ahead and put you on real quick. Let me go ahead and we're having some little bit of problems with the internet. It's running a little slow. But Big Sean, here you go. It's all yours.
Okay. It's my honor and privilege to welcome Jeff Bramstedt, a.k.a. Bram, to our podcast tonight. A little bit about Bram. I mean, we could go on for an hour just on his background, but I'll keep it short. Jeff spent 13 years in the military as a Navy SEAL with 3 deployments overseas. He was a member of the elite Leapfrogs, the Navy parachute team. He was deployed to Iraq twice as a contractor, and he continued his passion for skydiving and is now the owner of Skydive San Diego and tactical air operations. Jeff is also active in the film industry because of his good looks and physique, and received a coveted SAG award for performing some very dangerous stunts. Some of the movies that he was in include Lone Survivor, Ironman, Transformers, Pearl Harbor, Men of Honor, Deepwater Horizon, just to name a few. Jeff is also the co-founder of Oscar Mike LLC, where he and several others developed a proprietary method of getting people past their traumas. In addition, Jeff continues to speak to thousands of people year-round at churches, events, corporations, sports teams, as he continues men to be the man that God called them to be. It's my privilege to welcome my buddy, my pal, my brother, Bram. How you doing, bro?
Awesome. It's good to meet you guys, man. It's before we went live, just hearing some of the stuff that you guys have done, man. It's hats off. I appreciate you guys, Sean. You and I have been out and about around town quite a bit. Back when you were, what was the term you used back then? It was you were lieutenant, prince of the town.
Oh yeah, I was prince of the town. Yeah. I was the chief. When people complain, I don't want to talk to the chief. You're talking to him,
right?
But, Bram was our SWAT chaplain and the chaplain for Southern Division, and I met him years ago. He came down. With my dad being a former SEAL, we just connected, and he would come down. We'd go riding around all over the place. When I was in Southern, we stayed in Southern, but when I was a field lieutenant, we were all over the place.
Yeah,
we had a lot of good times.
A lot of fun. Yeah, I remember Chambo. That's your dad.
Yeah.
It's I didn't have a whole lot of interaction with him because he was the era before me, but as I was coming in, he was on his way out, but he was legend status for sure.
Yeah.
He hung out,
One, but
he hung out with all those legends, guys like Cowboy.
Yeah.
And his son is my jujitsu coach now. Yeah. So it's like I still get to see him once in a while. I have his trident right over there on my wall underneath some of the other stuff that I have on my wall. Thanks to my little sister and her family always keeping me stocked up with Navy SEAL paraphernalia to put on my wall, which is amazing. Yep, there she is.
And you got to throw in Kirby. You got to throw in Steve Bailey. I mean, Master Chiefs.
I got to hang out with all those guys. Kirby, that guy, he got a Bronze Star right as he retired. Vietnam era guy. The dude's a stone cold killer, man. But that guy is probably, let's see, he retired maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Vietnam era guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
He got the Bronze Star because he was on watch. They were on a river on a barge. He was out there one day. He's sitting there and between the space, the gap between the barges, he looked down. He saw a chem light move underneath it. So he was like, I mean, what do you do when a chem light moves underneath your barge? I mean, and you're out there in Vietnam. Well, there he is, my dude.
We're going to have it next week.
Are you really? Oh, yes.
Next week.
Next week.
You have to tell him I was bragging on him. So he freaking pulls a grenade, drops it in the water. Boom, and all the guys come running out of the shack, and they're like, "What was that?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing. It's I just saw a dude underneath the. Not go back to sleep."
Low key.
They were giving us a hard time. About 3 days later, the guys are coming back from operate. They're like, "What is that horrible smell?" And so they started walking around, and they found the dude that Kirby blew up that was underneath their bar. Yeah. And the dude had a haversack full of C4, and he was ready to blow up their whole entire camp.
Wow.
So, but that's Kirby. I guess that's the dude. How's that for a warm up for next week?
I know. A warm up for next week.
Hey, Bram, tell us about your childhood.
My childhood. My childhood was interesting because I was born in East St. Louis, and where the life expectancy for a baby, for a child, for an adult is about 30.
Yeah.
Wow.
Especially given that time because it was 1970. So I'm 54 to save everybody from doing their math on their fingers. So my mom, my biological mother, she had me and she gave me up for adoption. And rumor has it that that she was they were trying to talk her into having an abortion. And she said, "No, we're going to give this one a chance." And so I ended up in the back room somewhere. And, I didn't have a full, complete name or birth certificate. And my real last name was Wood. And I think I was named by a nurse. A nurse gave me my first name. And so I was adopted. I was in orphanages and foster care and all that kind of stuff. And then as a baby, I was adopted by a young pastor and his wife, who was a nurse. And they lived in Cuba, Missouri. And they about 3 years later, which was interesting because I'm half black and half Italian, and they're like translucent white. I'm carrying around this little black baby, and everyone's like, "What's the pastor's wife been doing?" So then my dad got moved to central Wisconsin, where of course I'm the darkest thing for 200 miles in any direction, and grew up on a farm. And I had the kind of parents. My parents were sort of hi Denise. My parents were sort of like hippie type folks, sort of like everything we ate, we grew on the land. I came home from school once, and I asked my mom, "What's for dinner?" And she said, "What'd you bring? What do you have?" I'm like, "I'm 9," and so I took her seriously. So I went out in the garden, dug up some worms, put it in my bucket, went into the lake that we had in the back 40. And I came back with about 15 bullheads, butchered them. I brought them into my mom, like, "Here you go." And she goes, "I was kidding. We're having hamburgers tonight, but okay, well, I guess we're having bullheads tonight." So I grew up being taught by my parents how to be resourceful, how to make my own fun. Of course, it was the 80s where your parents didn't even know where you were, and they had to have a commercial on TV to remind parents, hey, don't forget your kids. They're still out there somewhere. You know, it's 10 o'clock. You know where your kids are. Remember that one?
Yeah.
You ought to know, you know, 10 o'clock, you know where your kids are.
They're playing that now.
Yeah, they should be playing that now. Well, they don't have to go far. Their kids playing PlayStation in the other room right now. That's But then when I graduated high school, I wanted to play football. My parents said no, it's going to blow my knees out. They said you can swim or you can run track. And there's those moments that if you're standing where you are as an adult, as where you are, and you're trying to figure out how you got here, and if you turn 180 degrees, standing where you are, turn 180 degrees, and you look over the course of your life, you look and you say, you know what, I can see where I was set up for success at different points along the way, and my parents not letting me play football, making sure that I was swimming and running. That set me up because for me, I mean, who knew I was going to go to Buds? I don't even knew what SEALs were then. They just didn't. My little brother joined the Navy before I did, and he came back and he said, "Listen, there's this group of guys in the Navy, and they do some of the stuff that we did as kids, only it's legal." And so I went through the Rolodex of stuff that we did as kids, like burn things down, blow things up, because I'm responsible for about 11 acres and 2 buildings. By the time I was 11, I was a little pyro. and I remember thinking, like, those are the things that make me feel alive. I want to do that. I said, what are they called? And he said, I don't know. So I went to the recruiter. I said, I tried to describe it with my limited language of military knowledge, which was you could fill a thimble with what I knew about the military. And the recruiter said, no, I don't know what it's called, but you should probably call this guy. At the time, I was living in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, I was coaching a high school swim team. I was 18 to 19, right in there somewhere. And I go into the recruiter, and there's this guy. I'll never forget his name. His name is Jerry Watts. And I go and I see Jerry, and I describe it to him, and I tell him, he goes, "You're probably talking about the SEAL teams." And so I tell him that I want to do that. He goes, "I don't think you have a chance, but let's give it a shot." So join the Navy, go to boot camp, go to Corps school, become a corpsman, which is really learn how to put on a Band-Aid and how to do a little bit of CPR and change a bedpan, change some sheets. And then I ended up at Buds. And when I get through Buds, and then after Buds, they sent me to another school, Army Special Forces School for Eastern Delta, which is basically 4 years of medical jammed in 1 year. Got back from that, show up at the team, and the first thing they said to me was, "Hey, we want you to go out on this ASTV. You're going to go offshore. You're going to be supplying some support to the STVs, which is basically our undersea program." So I'm out there, and there's this voice. There's 11 of us on this boat, 11 of us on this little boat, and this dude shows up behind me, and he goes, "You made it." And I turn around, and it's Jerry Watts. Who knew that only SEAL that was in all of recruiting nationwide was the one dude that I talked to up in Marquette, Michigan.
Whoa.
And we remained friends for many years. We've lost touch recently, but I got to try to find him again. But, yep, Jerry Watts, my recruiter, also my teammate. Who knew? But
so tell us about some of your other training and some of your experiences as a SEAL.
Well, one thing about the SEAL teams is there's no 2 days the same, ever. There are no 2 days the same. You could be doing the same type of training, but there's no 2 days the same. I counted it up once. I have about 8 hours underneath the bay of. I point over here because I can see the bay from my house, and there's about I have about 1,000 hours underneath that water, and there's in Buds you're gonna shoot about a lot of rounds. I don't know. I've tried to do it, estimate the math, but through a P226 I have a little over 1.5 million rounds through just a SIG handgun, which the M4 rounds are not even countable at that point.
Yeah.
But it's just absolutely an amazing job. until bureaucracy happens, which I think is starting to kind of creep in a little bit. But I think that's creeping into every branch of the government, no matter where you are, if you're military or if any kind of civil service or first responder, you're starting to get some of that bureaucracy just because of our politics today. But operationally, I had about 4 deployments overseas, Southeast Asia. It was the boring 90s. There wasn't a whole lot going on, but we still managed to find ourselves getting in a little bit of trouble and getting some stuff happening. And then in 1999, I got into I tried out for and got picked up for the Navy parachute team, the Leapfrogs. And while I was on the Leapfrogs, it was I think there was about 3 or 4 stadiums I didn't jump into, like NFL or Major League Baseball stadiums I didn't jump into, but those were mostly because they had roofs on them, and so that makes it kind of rough. So I did that for about 4 years, and then I got really sick, and the doctors told me, and this was the 3rd and final time I was told in my career that I wasn't going to live through something. I was told 2 other times, and those were both operational. They said, the chances of making it back from this are slim to none. But this one was interesting because it was doctors telling you that there's something wrong with you, and they don't know what it is. And then when they did discover what it was, they discovered that I had a disease called coccidiomycosis, which you get from the spore in the dirt from here in the Pacific Southwest. And apparently the darker your skin, the more susceptible you are. So I ended up getting really sick from that. And it's a very strong virus. It put me down for a year. I lost about 50 pounds. I was sleeping 23 hours a day. And it was absolutely terrible. And the doctor said, if you live through this, you're probably going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, or it's going to come back every year. You're going to have a month that you're going to be incapacitated every year. To which I said, that sounds fantastic from a medical standpoint. However, I don't think you have the final say in this, because I serve the ever-living God, and he's going to have the final say in it. And I think I got enough stuff to do for him that is going to make sure that I am on my feet, functional and strong. And that's what ended up happening. But they did medically retire me. And so after I got retired, then it was on, because then it got interesting, because there's no longer is there somebody standing over your shoulder saying you're class 4 medical and your appointment is tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon. And now it's like you got to start making your own appointments. You got to start looking after your own stuff, and you have to clean your own gun. You have to pack your own parachute. Yeah, I didn't want to do it myself. So. That's me in a nutshell. That's the basics of it. I think that the SEAL teams is a great place. If the military in general, that's where you go if you want to get the 17-year-old knocked off of you. Yeah. Law enforcement, great place to go if you want to get the 17-year-old knocked off. All of a sudden, you have this responsibility that you think is beyond, and that's why I had kids. Yes, Micah, that's my son.
Yeah.
You have kids, so you can take out the garbage. You have kids, so you can pack parachutes. And so that one that just popped on right there, he's a professional skydiver and a professional parachute rigger, and he was at the shooting range today. So he shoots all the time. So yeah. So
Jeff,
anyway, yeah.
I want to jump in. Going back to Buds, Buds was nothing. No one knew anything about it until the series came out. I think it was on Discovery, where finally you could see what it is. What got you through as an individual? Because I know what got you through to not quit. Did it ever cross your mind? Was it something that you said? What is it that in you that got you through? And to have no doubt that, hey, I'm going to go through, or any of that.
So, first of all, you got to keep your finger out of the trigger well, unless you intend to.
Refill time.
Sean, when are we gonna start telling stories about what we did? Because
no.
So what got me through Buds? It's like I have had this conversation with so many guys because I've probably put about 30 kids into the teams by now, mentoring them. And they all ask the same question. Well, what got you through? I was like, well, I just decided that there was no plan B.
Yeah.
If you have a plan B, you're going to use plan B. Why even have a plan B or C or D or whatever? Like, there's no plan B. I heard one dude on some podcast sometime, it was maybe a short that I saw, he was like, burn all the boats. And it's an insinuation that you're on a beach, you have an escape off the beach, but you have a boat, or you can stay here and you can face the adversity that you have to face being on that beach. Burn the boats so you don't have an escape route. So that's kind of how I looked at it. From a swim standpoint, not a problem. From a running standpoint, it was a problem at first because it's soft sand. I had to get past myself. You have to get past a lot of yourself to be able to get through something like that. I remember one time we were doing a beach run, and the class is like 200 yards ahead of me, and I'm way in the back, and I'm just sitting there just feeling sorry for myself. It was a pity party to be at all pity parties. I'm back there just whining and crying and just like, oh, this hurts so bad, And all of a sudden this instructor showed up right next to me, and he said, and his name was Kirk Dobstaff. And one of my heroes, he's passed away now, but he was, I mean, he pulls up next to me, and he's this big ass dude. And he says, hey, what are you doing back here, Bramstedt? He goes, hey, listen, he goes, and every time I would come up with something, it sounded like an excuse. And he said, no excuses. I don't want to hear one excuse out of you. What is the reason? What is the reason why you're back here? And I finally just said, well, I don't know what I don't even know what to say. And he said, okay, what's your name? I said, Bramstedt. And he was like, Bramstedt. I'm like, what's this guy doing? He said, Bramstedt, how old are you? I was like, 19 or 20, however I said. He goes, Bramstedt 19, Bramstedt 19, Bramstedt 19, Bramstedt 19. How much do you weigh? I said, 160 pounds. Bramstedt 19, 160 pounds. Bramstedt. What he was doing is he was reminding me all the reasons why I shouldn't be just putting out just that much more effort to be up where I needed to be. And so I said, okay, well, and so apparently that became my name, Bramstedt 19, 160 pounds. And he said, I'm going to remove every option from you, and I want you to stay on my hip. I don't want you in front of me. I don't want you beside me. I want you at an echelon, and I want you just to look at my hip. Don't take your eyes off my hip. And then he just dropped into a very fast pace. I just stayed on his hip. It seemed like seconds before we were up with the class. Now, of course, it was several minutes, probably 4 or 5 minutes when we were up with the class, but it seemed like a very short amount of time. So I just fell into the back of class. And he said, where are you going? I didn't say stop. Get over here. So I fell back out of the class, and we went right by the class. Now, for those of you familiar with San Diego, we're running northbound on 75, right? So along the Strand. And now we're getting up around the obstacle course. So you have to turn left right there, right? Otherwise, you're going to run right into the SEAL Team 3 parking lot. So we went around that corner. Now we're about 100 yards in front of the class. And then he turns it on. And then we get to the beach, right up to the berm, right? And then he hangs a hard right, and we're running down that last straightaway to get to Bud's, and we're in a dead sprint. I am right there, right on his hip. And then it hit. All of a sudden, the vision started. Remember those Zenith televisions when we were kids?
Yeah.
You turn it off and it goes. That started happening. Then I threw up, and I'm pretty sure I pissed myself too. And I threw up all over the front of me, like lunch came out, and I'm at the end. I'm just standing there, like, what just happened? And he grabs me right by my shirt, right in the middle of a bunch of vomit. He didn't care, and he pulls me in. He's forehead to forehead with me. He goes, "Don't ever forget today, because today is the day the governor has been removed." And so, governor, like automobile governor, only lets you go so much. What he taught me at that moment is that your body is 10 times more capable than your brain tells you that it is. And that was the breaking moment for me. And then he walked away. He didn't walk away like, like, what do I have? Yeah, Bramstedt DNA all over me. No, he walked away like he had somewhere to go. And then the class started running up. And my swim buddy, Chris Bledsoe, who to this day is one of my closest friends, he comes up to me and goes, "What was that about? What happened?" And I said, "I don't know, but I think I'm fast now." And, and sure enough, I became one of the faster runners in the class. By the time there was a couple of guys that could beat me, Craig Mikulich could beat me, Ryan Reynolds could beat me. There's a few guys that could just stomp me and stomp a mud hole in me as far as running goes. But I was in the top 5 runners in that class, especially as we started getting into third phase. We could actually wear tennis shoes and not have to wear boots. But there was those things, those learning curves that happen that you pay attention to that are going to get you through something. And that is, I think, one of the things that got me through buds the most, as well as the guys that you're in it with, because, you know, it's not so much the circus, it's the clowns, you know?
Well, that, and if you think about it, I mean, that's a great instructor. That's a great
100%.
Because he pulled it out of you without you knowing that he was pulling it out of you.
Yes. Yeah. It was
meaning about it. He was just pulling it out.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us about, share with us your life after you got out of the teams, after you got out of the military.
Well, my life has been one adventure after another. And by adventure, I mean those amazing, fun adventures that's full of a bunch of stuff that you're just like, what just happened? While I was in the team, starting in 1999, I got a phone call from I didn't get the phone call. My command got the phone call, and they said, "Hey, we need." It's hard to say this with a straight face because the culture we live in makes people sensitive to this. But hey, we need a black guy who can swim. Basically, is what they said. And we happened to see you on the side of a van driving by, and then we saw you on a billboard because at the time I was the Navy's poster child because they wanted to try to increase the amount of minorities that were in the SEAL teams because me and Mark Lilly, I was the half black guy in 183. He was a half black guy in 184. They put us together. We were the 16th black guy to get into the SEAL teams. And so they said we're filming a movie, and Cuba Gooding Jr. is the star, and he's got to do some diving sequences. We need a guy to double him. And so the command let me go. I went up there and did this. It turned out to be the movie Men of Honor with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Robert De Niro.
Okay, great.
See it again because the residuals are starting to reduce. This is like $7 now, so see it again. Get those residuals up. And it was 4 days of being underwater in that suit. But I was the guy getting drugged by the submarine. I was the dude down there looking for all the parts when all that. Anyway, it was really interesting. So that's what kicked off my movie stuff, and I did that on and off all the way up until COVID, and that's when I retired.
Oh.
And I got to the point to where, now I'm in my late 40s and like, we're going to light you on fire and throw you down these steps. I'm like, see that 21-year-old over there? He's dying to do that. Like, not so much. No. And so now the calls I get are more for technical advising stuff. And there's driving stuff that I enjoy doing because that's one of my fortes. So that's one of the things that kind of paid the bills. But the thing that I think that has had me the most interested and most engaged is just full-time men's ministry, getting out and speaking in arenas and churches and men's events and stuff like that, talking to men, encouraging men to be who they need to be for who they need to be it for. So being better husbands, being better fathers, and no, Jim, I didn't play Vin Diesel. Wait, no, I did. He's right. He was actually the camera guy. Jim Woods was Jim Woods, dear friend of mine. We were on the parachute team together. Quick little caveat. He flew the first time that a 3D camera was ever flown in free fall. He was my camera guy. He's also one of my best friends on this planet. We were on the parachute team together. He's still a pro skydiver, even though he's 95 years old now. I'm kidding. He's not. But he is, so that was for XXX. So we did the XXX 3D, which ended up not getting made, but we did a whole fight sequence in free fall. That was awesome. But the thing that has kept me the most interested is ministry. So it's dealing with men. I think that's why I really enjoyed my time with San Diego Police Department, was because just dealing with real men, doing real men stuff, but they're also struggling with real men's issues. And it wasn't just men. It's like there was a lot of female officers that I dealt with too. In fact, one of them is still one of my just an amazing woman to this day. And Sean, you know Denise.
Denise,
yeah. And so
she's on tonight. She's watching.
Right. Yeah, I saw her pop on. Yeah. So it was. So hi Denise. I love you, buddy. You're amazing. But yeah, it's just doing that type of stuff, and it kind of started going it started going that direction later. But it started off as just regular ministry, which I still do even now. But it's connected me with a lot of amazing people. So like your nephew, right, Jimmy Mina, you know, and it's connected me with a lot of men like that. That I just it's amazing. But you know what I learned the most from doing ministry is that every man needs to have their own personal board of supervisors, board of directors, right? A board of directors, guys that you're accountable to. That is one of the most important things that every guy should have. I have 5 dads to this day, right? And they are guys that have been, to include my own father, my own dad, the dad that adopted me. They are the guys who have been in business longer than me. They've been a husband, a father, in ministry. They've done all these things longer than I have. And every time I have an issue, I can call one of these guys and say, this is what I'm struggling with. And they don't always like mince their words. Sometimes it's not user friendly what they say.
Not pretty.
It's not pretty. They grab me by the shoulders and say, what are you thinking? Why would you even think that's okay? And then they turn me around and they point me in the direction I should go and say, this is the way you should go. And you have a good group when those guys all say the same thing. I'll spend a day talking to each and every one of them. And they point me in the same direction. It's the opposite direction that my flesh wants to go. But when I'm going that direction, the direction I'm supposed to go, and then I pay attention to what the word of God says, which is the footsteps of the righteous are ordered of the Lord, which means kind of like that Michael Jackson commercial where he's like what is it, Billie Jean? He's walking down the sidewalk and the sidewalk's lighting up as he's walking, like that, right? I want you to go at this pace. I want you to stop. I want you to wait. I want you to hold up. Right now, go fast and stop. Right? I want you to go this direction. We're going to go a little bit off course. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but you got to do what I do, right? Come with me. And if you walk in that kind of closeness with God, if you have that kind of board of directors that are overseeing the things that you're doing in accountability, things just sort of work out better than if I'm out there making decisions on my own, doing it the way that Bram would want to do it, because tried that. Didn't work out well.
Yeah.
So how was your
Go ahead.
How was your faith during your military service? Did it wane any? Did it get stronger? Did you waver because of pressure from other things? How did you deal with that?
D, all of the above.
Yeah.
So growing up as a believer, but not really understanding the full, because I grew up in what's called the liturgical church, which is kind of like the official, very like my dad was the pastor. He was up there. He had the fancy robe and the way I grew, I'm always a disruptor. As a 6-year-old, I remember sitting in the pews, and I would like have my Hot Wheels like doing this on the pews,
Yeah.
There's like 500 people in the church, and my dad would come down from the pulpit. He'd walk down the aisle, go to where I was. He'd like be like walking by people. Is there, he's like, sorry, Mary, good to see you. Hey, Jim, sorry, give me a minute. Bob, hey, good to see you. High five. Yeah, good. And then he'd grab me by the shoulders, pick me up, and say, we're going to talk about this later. Put me in the pew. You're terrified the rest of the service, right? So I grew up in that church. And then as I grew up, and I never really knew about the enemy. I never really knew that there was an enemy out there who wanted to derail me, did not want me to step into my fullness, did not want me to fulfill what God had called me to do. I never really realized that, and I didn't get it until 1996. I had just come back from a deployment. I'm working out up in North County, Escondido area, at a gym with a buddy of mine, Clark Bartram, and I'm in the between sets, and this guy walks up to me and he says, "Hey, do you mind if can I talk to you a minute? As I'm watching you work out, I'm in my ear, I'm hearing something that God wants you to know. You mind if I tell you what that is?" And I was like, "Oh, hurry up, because I got another set coming up. Let it rip." And he said, "God wants to use you in a mighty way. He is going to use you to communicate the word of God. He's going to give you platforms you never saw coming, like you're going to be in the film industry." He was specific, prophetically specific. I was like, "Yeah, sure. Sounds good." So over the course of the next year, the dude would call me because my workout partner gave me his phone number. This dude calls me once a week to check in, and I would just kind of shine him on. He called me once. We're having a party at the house. It's a bunch of team guys and a bunch of girls. And this girl that was she was my target for that night. She is there, and this guy calls me, and she walks by and goes, "Here." I just hand her the phone. I said, "Here, it's for you." And I just walk off. And we're in the garage, and we're playing what's called naked hockey. So you take a dude, whoever messed up last in the SEAL platoon, and that dude's got to stand there in front of the goalie naked. And we take smashed up beer cans and we shoot him at him with. So we were playing naked hockey. And after a while, I'm like, "Wait a minute, that girl's not around. I better go." So I go back in there. She's an hour later. She's sitting on the floor underneath the phone. Back in the days, so kids, listen. There used to be phones that we had, and next to the and attached to the phone was this long thing called a cord that came out, and it was spirally, and it went all the way up to the phone, and you could only go as far as that cord would let you. Right? I'm telling you, that's a true story. You can go to the Smithsonian and you can see one for yourself. And she's sitting down on the floor on the phone, and I walk up and I was like, "You're still on the phone with this guy?" She stands up, hands me the phone. She goes, "It was nice meeting you. I'm going to go." I was like, "What happened?" She goes, "I just met Jesus." And she left.
Wow.
I'm on the phone, and I get on the phone with the guy. I'm like, "What did you just do? Dude, what happened?" And he was just like, "Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean to mess up your game." You know, I'm like, "Dude, that is like the ultimate. That is like the ultimate. You know what block? You know?"
Yeah.
So yeah, you're welcome. That's a self-edit. I had one of my buddies tell me that I was allowed 4 F-bombs. So
you're doing good.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? We got to clarify for people who are watching. And so there are parties that we've all been to that have gotten outrageous, but there's nothing like a SEAL team party.
Oh, yes.
You had
yes.
this, and it's there's no explanation to it.
Yes. And they still exist. So I saw that dude that just popped on that was like, it said Craig Baker, it said mentor. Yeah, he's my coach, he's my mentor. That's an inside joke that we have. His dad is Cowboy Wells.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. And so there's been like I mean, Cowboy was one of my heroes, right? And so it just hanging out with him at Craig's house. It's let's just say it this way, not much has changed. It doesn't matter what era. You get a couple team guys, if they're within 4 clicks of each other, they're going to end up shoulder to shoulder, and then anybody else is like a tractor beam. They're going to end up in a circle. Don't get in the middle of that circle. It's going to get ugly. No one's going to beat you up, but they are going to berate you until you decide.
I mentioned at my dad's funeral that I didn't think that he was okay with my choice of profession, because I think he would have liked me and gone in the Navy and gone into the teams. But to be honest with you, I didn't have the discipline. So I joined law enforcement. But anyways, some of the guys that are on his platoon that showed up at the services said, "Oh, we were glad that you became a cop because I was getting them out of trouble and shit."
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm done.
Hey, Bram, we have a question from Matt, I guess. He said, did you work on any of the tactical training simulation that was at the old field studio on Rough and Road?
That's Seuss.
Yeah.
Seuss.
Drew Seagal, yeah.
Yeah, that was called strategic operations or stops. And that's where, so yes, to answer your questions, lots and lots. I don't know, I have hundreds of hours there, especially with the SRT guys. And having a little bit of a tactical background and being their chaplain was always kind of a really weird, kind of a tightrope to watch, because I'd be up in the catwalks with who was the sergeant? Who was the Keith? Keith Lucas.
Yes.
So I was up there with Keith Lucas, and we're watching these guys they're doing their flow, and these guys are absolute pros, right? But I'll see something, and I'm just like looking at it, and I must have had a look on my face or something. He's like, "What? What did you see?" I'm like, "Hey, I don't have my Bible right. I don't know. I'm just trying to get off the spotlight because I don't want to say anything, right?" And he's like, "No, what did you see?" And I was like, "In a house, 90% of the bullets go to the door, and don't stand within 4 inches of a wall because bullets also travel down a wall." And I'm seeing a guy leaning against the wall. I see two guys. I see one guy who's the last guy in the room, and he's just standing in the middle of the doorway. It grates on my nose. It's kind of like you take a fork and you like on a plate and do this with it. That's what it does to my guts. And so I'm like, that's all I saw. Yeah. And to Keith's credit, he was just like, "Don't lean against walls, get out of the doorways," and guys were like, and they had a great reason why the guy was leaning against the wall, because he had just gotten smacked by a chair. And so he was just taking a breather. He's like, "I wouldn't normally be leaning against the wall." And the other guy standing in the door, he was the fifth man in the room. And so he was actually contemplating backing out of the room, just to not complicate it and wait for the call for more guys to flow the room to go ahead and stack on the next door. Right. Yeah. And so they had their reasons for doing it, but I still was like, oh, so out of order. I was just like, I am not that guy. That's not my job. That's not my job description.
Well, you did a lot of training with like toe pushing with Bailey and all that up there at Stu's, but we had SWAT training up there too. Yeah. And it was, when I came back onto the team, we had some new guys over there, and we were doing room entries and you could wait and watch these guys. They'd mix us up a little bit with some of the, the older guys and how we flowed through. And then you see these newer guys coming in. And then, it's the same thing. Hey, don't do that. And you had to reinforce why. Because you're going to get knocked down. You're going to get stepped on. I'm not waiting for you to, do a peekaboo. We're going. So
better to make those mistakes in
training. One of my nephews, Jimmy, the one we were talking about.
Jimmy Mena. Yeah,
Jimmy Mena. He told me, he goes, "Please show this picture and have him tell the story." I'm going to go ahead and put it up. Can you tell us this story, Bram? I know you're a very humble individual, but I think that we need to hear this story.
I'm trying not to choke up right now because, man, I don't see that picture very often. Look at her. Oh, she's so pretty. That's my little sister. And she's watching right now, by the way. And hi, Melinda. I love you. And her husband, James, who he can suck it. I'm just kidding, James. I told him I was going to base on him, so I had to do it. But Melinda and James are these amazing, amazing humans that I have been blessed beyond blessed. My family and I, we consider them blood. Well, Melinda and I are now blood relatives because we actually now share DNA because she has a piece of my liver in her. In a piece of my we share a liver, and I was in Denmark. My wife sent me a Facebook post of a young lady pleading for her life because she needed a liver, and it needed to be a live. It needed to be a live donor. And Melinda, forgive me if I butcher this story, but it needed to be a live donor because they score you on your liver function test. They score, hi buddy. They score you based on your liver function test, not on the liver itself and what's going on with the liver. But she had a malfunction with her liver. It caused the liver to have a bunch of cysts on it. So her liver was actually the size of an infant. And it was pressing on her lungs. It was pressing on her heart, and her heart rate was not right. She couldn't even take a deep breath of air. She was only able to stay awake for a couple hours. But even when she'd go to sleep, it wasn't good sleep. And she's a wife and a mom. And I don't like long text messages because I'm not a 9th grade cheerleader. And when I read the first couple lines of my wife's message, and I just said, yes, I'm in. And then I went back to doing what you do at Skydiving World Championships. And she said, well, are we going to talk about it? And I said, talk about what? What are we going to talk about? If somebody's got to do something, if they don't, someone dies. To me, there's zero discussion. She was like, I couldn't agree more. So my wife and I, being highly competitive with each other, she decided that she was going to try to do it before I got home. She was going to try to get picked up. So my wife she found out that she has a malfunction in her blood. She has it's called a marker 5, something, I forget what it's called, but it means that her blood clots faster than it should, which could be detrimental on an operating table. So I came home, she told me that, and I was like, oh, I so hope I get picked up. I want to do it just to spite my own wife at that point, because my wife is amazing, but we are highly competitive. And so I get picked up. First thing I get is a piece of paper, and it was like, when's the last time? Are you an IV drug user? When's the last time you used IV drugs? And do you plan on using IV drugs? And like the same question over and over again. And then and then all these questions about lifestyle and sexual preferences, if you know what I'm saying, all that stuff. Got through that, got through the blood test, got through everything, went out to Denver, had to do a bunch of more tests out in Denver because that's where this hospital was. Then came back. We had to go out there probably 3 or 4 times. And one of the times I went out there, the last times I went out there, I was by myself, and I was sitting with a social worker in there, and almost pretty much the entire wing of the hospital is dedicated to Melinda and I, because it was a very high profile case. When this thing was done, it went so high order. It was on the front page of every single server, like all the like MSNBC and Yahoo and all that stuff. They used to have a news page on the front. Yeah. And it was between me and one other girl to be at the State of the Union address. It got to Trump's desk. Like, it was a big deal. I probably did 40 podcasts. And after a while, I was like, that is not why I did this. We just need to kill all this. So I had Vonnie kill everything and just shut everything off. And she came in, she said, hey, Melinda and her husband are across the hallway. Would you like to see them? Would you like to meet her? And I said, let me think about that. Absolutely not. Which is the opposite of what you'd think someone would say, but I'm an odd duck. And I said, absolutely not. She goes, why? I'm like, how often is she, how much time does she spend awake right now? They said, well, she spends, probably 4 hours, 3-4 hours awake. And I said, okay, if she's awake 3 or 4 hours, and when she does sleep, she's not getting good sleep, she's a wife and a mother, why are we going to put her on the spot and make her feel obligated to thank some stranger for something that hasn't even happened yet? And she said, wow, that's a really well thought out response. I'll be right back. She came back in a little bit later, and she said, well, she insists, so I guess we're going to see her. I was like, so be it, let's go. I walk out in the hallway, and there's probably 20 staff members out in the hallway, majority of them female, and they're all bawling. I'm like, did I miss something? Like, why is everybody crying right now? What is happening? So we walk into the room, and they're like, we just love it when this stuff happens. We just get, walking across the hallway. And what I saw was what I would liken to if you take a Barbie doll and you shake it, and the hair's everywhere. That's what it looked like. She is sprinting towards me, jumps in the air, and I have arms and legs around me, and I'm not even holding on to her. She's like just stuck to me. And this really handsome dude walks up behind her, and he starts speaking with the New Zealand accent
Oh no!
and
Kiwi.
he's like, I might, and I'm like, you look like that, and you have that accent. I hate you already. So I was like, nice to meet you. Sorry, I'm kind of wearing your wife right now. Sorry. And then we started talking, and I got to know them a little bit, and I just said, Melinda, I'm not doing this for you, because I can't imagine what it would be like if my wife was in your situation and there was nothing I could do for her. And so I'm doing this for him. And so ever since then, James and I have been really tight as a result of that. But yeah, that's my family right there. But that's Melinda. So we did we ended up doing, we did the surgery, and afterwards was a ton of jokes. Oh my God, that was so funny afterwards. So funny story, I walk into Melinda's room, and there's a dietitian talking to her, and I walk in, and she was like, there's Jeff now, and the dietitian, how are you feeling? And I acted like I was about to faint. I was like that. I was like, I'm okay. And she said, oh my God. So she runs out of the room, and I go sit down. I'm like, and scene. And Melinda's like, you are impossible. What is wrong with you? It was stuff like that the entire time. We spent a week together in the hospital, and it was my wife and I had one room, James and Melinda in another room, and we were just the jokes that were moving back and forth. And anybody who's ever had surgery, your bowels don't work after a surgery. Oh, wow. And now imagine you're split stem to stern, eating food, and your bowels aren't working. And the doctors walk in, and they have this bottle of stuff, and they said, we want you to drink 1/4 of it. It's colon flow, right? The stuff that you drink it, and then your ass just goes boom, right?
Yeah.
I was like, only drink 1/4 of this? Quarter of this, right? I'm like, slam the entire thing. And they're like, oh my God, what did you just do? And I put it down. I was like, babe, can you do me a favor? Can you go down to the corner store and grab me about 2 cans of Copenhagen as well? I'm like, can I get a cup of coffee? So I'm sitting there. I got a big lipper in, I'm like, I got all that colon blowing me. Still didn't work. If I drink 1/4 of it, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Copenhagen and coffees gets rid of the MREs, right?
It sure does. You see,
You know what? To use a line Dave always uses, time is our worst enemy. It's been great. I think we're definitely gonna have you back, bro.
Oh yeah,
we got to. I'm not even done with half the stuff I wanted to ask you. So we'll set it up, and it's been, I don't know about you guys, man. I think this has been a great show.
Yeah, those guys hated
absolutely.
Hey, brother, I've been hearing about you for years. Little Jimmy was supposed to, before I moved here to Tampa in 2019, we were supposed to get together. We never did, but what an honor. What an honor it is to finally meet you. And
did you just call him Little Jimmy?
You know what? To me, he'll always be Little Jimmy.
Jimmy, Mina, I'm coming at you with Little Jimmy because he is the opposite of Little Jimmy.
I know, he's the opposite of Little Jimmy. So, brother, listen, man, thank you very much from the bottom of our heart. Mil gracias de todo corazón, from all of our heart, brother. It was an honor, and I know we're definitely having you back. Thank you, brother.
I would be honored. It's been great meeting you guys and all the people that are listening to your podcast. I think what you should do, everybody, is I think that you should share this podcast with another person, one person, because I think that right now there is such a falling away when it comes down to law enforcement. The things that the law enforcement is subject to, the things that they have to tolerate and put up with. You don't have to go far to be able to see it. But to be able to hear the hearts of these men, the things that they have to put up with, and the generation new is in there, right? The generation past in support but still being able just to bring to people, say, hey, listen, you know what? There are men out there standing at the gates ready to do violence on behalf of those who can't provide that kind of safety for themselves. Man, it's the reason I was a chaplain, the reason that I became sworn after a while, the reason that I was in the military, everything else is because I share a commonality. I'd never really put myself in there with guys like Sean, with like the rest of you guys, because it was just something that I was like, I'm just not worthy to be here. And the guys that still come over to my house at 3 a.m. in the middle of third watch, right? Brett Edwards still comes over. All these young guys, Jordan comes over. These guys from K9 still come over at 3 a.m. They text me and they come over and I give them a sandwich and we sit down and we talk about stuff in life, you know, and the stuff that those guys got to put up with. So I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for doing what you do, and keep going. Just just never quit doing this, because this word, the kind of people that you guys are having on here, Kirby, are you kidding me? Dude, that guy's a freaking legend in the teams. Another guy, you guys got to have Cowboy Wells on here. You got to get Cowboy on here.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
I'll set it up. Yeah, he's Craig Baker's dad. So I'll send you his contact if you don't have it. We'll get it going. But thank you, gents. I sure appreciate you.
I just want to say, Bram, that, you know, since I met you, you know, like you said, God has a plan for everything. And how we got together and while we've stayed close, I love you. I've always called you when I could, you know, to run shit by you, and always respected you. And I missed you a lot when I was back east, but now I'm back and we're together.
I love you too, homie. All right, guys.
God bless you. Thank
It's been an honor. Take care.
All right,
God bless.
Man, guys, what a legend, huh? What a legend. Oh, my God. And not only a legend here on earth, but in heaven. You imagine all the people that he's touched through his sermons, through his when he speaks at churches. Man, we definitely need to have him back. Without a doubt.
You know what? And we've talked about this before. There was a time in my career, in my life, I didn't want to hang around with me. I was a prick. I was an asshole. I just didn't give a shit anymore. And I bounced a lot of stuff off of Bram. And he was part of the reason that I went a different path. And, you know, I love him to death. Love him to death.
That's awesome.
What a blessing. And guys, next week on the Gray Line, next Tuesday at 6 o'clock, not 5 o'clock, Pacific Standard Time, we have retired Pinellas County Sheriff Lieutenant Rachel Hughes. She was also a sergeant in the military, and she worked special ops. She has some great stories, and she also has some great stories she's going to share with us next week regarding serial killers here in Tampa Bay area, Pinellas County, and it's going to be a great episode. And then, Sean, tell us who we have next week. I mean, I'm telling you, talking about perfect timing, talking about perfect timing for Kirby, I mean, Bram literally took us right whom we're having next week.
Oh, yeah. Bram's so much thunder, man. I tell you, I've known Kirby since I was a young kid. You know, he was on my dad's platoon. We go back a long way. He's another one I can run stuff through. You know, I was fortunate enough, Ralph Garcia and Kirby were actually part of the Good Guys car club thing. And I got the opportunity to go to his retirement from the teams. And he was the last Vietnam era Navy SEAL to retire. And in fact, I saw him the other day, him and his lovely wife, Terry. And, you know, it'll be a great show. It'll be a great show. He's got a bunch of history and stories to tell.
Nice.
It's gonna be outstanding. Cannot wait. And you know what? I told Benny that we were going to be pushing once again his conference that's coming up. It's going to be for retired law enforcement that are in good standing. Please sign up. for this International Latino Gang Investigators Association Conference. It's going to be in Palm Springs, California, October, I think it's September 30th through October 2nd. It's going to be outstanding. I'm going to be talking about PTSD, police officers suffering from PTSD, suicide. There's also another gang conference for retired police officers, active police officers, sponsored by the California Gang Investigators Association. That's going to be next week also. And I have one more. If you're looking for the best birria place in all Southern California, it's owned by a retired cop, Oscar Armenta, another legend with San Diego PD, La Central Birriera. You don't have to go to Mexico for good birria. Go to La Central Birria. And starting next week, we're forming an association with, tell us with who, and their picture will be up next week. Tell us, Sean, who we formed a liaison with.
The First Responders Whiskey Society. Check out their website. Join. They have a lot of good information about whiskeys and other things. And I think, if I remember right, Nick told me that they've got some events coming up soon, and we'll be starting posting all that stuff. We're partnered up with them too. So,
nice. Guys, I can't wait, Sean. And then in a couple of weeks, we got a former CIA. This is your month, Sean. So I can't wait for all the guests that you have coming on the show the next couple of Ash Wednesdays. With that said, guys, Big Doug, last words for our listeners. Advice.
I want to do a shout out to one of our listeners tonight. I don't want to slaughter the name, but Valentina Kasova. Sounds like she's going to opened up some Macallan's tonight. Well, I got to tell you, Valentina, Macallan's is my go-to. So the challenge is on next week.
yes.
Make sure you log on, because we'll have some nice Macallan's together.
Yeah, you know what? I'll open up a bottle too.
It's going to be outstanding. Can't wait. Big Bobby, last words, brother.
Man, that was deep. That was really deep. And, when he was talking about people crying, I was going to jump in and say, I'm not crying, but David, Sean, and Doug are crying. So it's like, oh, my God, that was really good. Thanks, everyone, for logging in. And if you enjoy this podcast, please like it and share it. And back to you.
Big Sean, last words.
Well, like Bobby said, at the last part, I was crying. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I was showing some emotion here. I was getting allergies. So, for everybody out there, be safe. Trust in yourself and trust in the Lord, God.
Amen. And like I always say, live a purpose-driven life. If you don't know what to do with your life, if you're a retired police officer, first responder, military, and you don't know what to do, volunteer somewhere. Definitely. You know what? Live every day like it's your last day on earth, because that's one thing that we don't have assurance that we're going to live tomorrow. So live every day like your last day on earth. Live a purpose-driven life. And I'm going to quote what you always say, Bobby. You know what? Trust the process. No matter what we're going through within our government, that they're going to vote it down or vote it into place. Trust it. But above and beyond, trust the author. And our author is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I just want to end it with this. We never preach religion. We don't preach any religion. We talk, not preach. We talk about an experience that we've all had, and continue to have with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. With that said, we'll see you next Tuesday. See you next Wednesday. God bless you.
The song goes out to all those hoes that set blue line strong out there in the streets every single day. I got you. Yeah,
I will defend my brothers. I will defend the weak. I will pursue and fight evil so others may sleep. I am the sheepdog, protecting the night. Wolf hunters unite. Bring it on. It's time to fight. As that alarm clock beeps and wakes you from your sleep, pull back the sheets. It's time to hit the streets. Dudes, fresh shave your face. Girls, put up your hair. Back breaking and aching from the equipment that you wear. Face to face with your locker, strapping on your vest. Pray to God it'll block a hollow point from your chest. Join up with the squad, that's the crew of the night. Here again, our evil man took another life. Got a price on your head, brother, better beware. Load up that Glock and prepare yourself for warfare. Spread grips to the concrete in this dead heat. Load up that Crown Vic and get back up on the beat. Ridicules what you get, not even a damn handshake. As the sun sets on that city landscape, nothing can stop you, snow, rain, or thunder. Gotta hold that blue line tight. You're pursue and fight evil so others may sleep. I am the sheepdog, protecting the night. Wolf hunters unite, bring it on. It's time to fight. I will defend my brothers, I will defend the weak. I will pursue and fight evil so others may sleep. I am the sheepdog, protecting the night. Wolf hunters unite, bring it on. It's time to fight. No words can express the lack of respect. No arrest of a suspect's unchecked. They say you ain't shit and you always tell lies. Yet so quick to pick up and call when victimized. Riots and protests, it's always us they blame. It's expected, not regretted when a hero cop is slain. Never freeze up in fear when everyone's stomachs in knots. Who else you know running towards a gunshot? You know you're not alone. Take a look around. Look past the hate that you feel surrounds your town. The civil unrest, it needs to be addressed. So obsessed with judgment in the form of protest. So quick to judge and point fingers and blame on the rifles and knives, and yet we can't take aim. In the streets and the chairs, they can't be muted. We're on the marches when a hero cop is executed, huh? I will defend my brothers, I will defend the weak. I will pursue and fight evil so others may sleep. I am the sheepdog, protecting the night. Wolf hunters unite, bring it on. It's time to fight. I will defend my brothers, I will defend the weak. I will pursue and fight evil so others may sleep. I am the sheepdog, protecting the night. Wolf hunters unite, bring it on. It's time to fight. Every push-ups for justice, each sit-ups for peace. Yet prepared for that battle waging up in the streets. Push the memories aside, keep the hate out of sight. Always on prowl for evil that lurks within the night. They said God made shepherd so that he could protect the flock. To overwatch and keep track of those that he's lost. When evil brings the fight, you know it's outnumbered. Sink your teeth in his back. You're the wolf hunter. I will defend my brothers,